Hello and welcome to day 95 of Going from Heavy to Light. So yesterday what I was talking about is a couple of things, but one was that we were going to my mother-in-law's for dinner at her independent living place, and they never really have any food for us that we feel comfortable eating, other than like vegetables and, a baked potato or a sweet potato and salad. So I'm always in a position of trying to figure out how to get full enough, how to get satisfied enough, what should I do beforehand and all that. Well, anyway, my husband this time had written to the head of the dining services a few days ago just saying, we like to eat really healthfully, and, is there any way you could have something a little more substantial, maybe some quinoa, or, quinoa has a lot of protein in it, and it's a grain, it's filling. And anyway, he just put it out there that we really are never satisfied when we go there. So the other thing I mentioned yesterday is that we had a 7 o'clock reservation, which for me is getting a little late. I like to eat on the earlier side. So here's how it played out. We went there and got there, for our 7 o'clock, and we ordered our food, and nothing came for at least an hour. They did have bread on the table, but we were all kind of looking at each other like, when's the food coming? And it was difficult because I was really starving by that point. So I did have a piece of the bread. It was like a raisin nut bread that they had on the table. I did not anticipate eating any bread, but I was getting frustrated, starving, kind of irritable and cranky because it was taking so long. And I wasn't, I had no idea what they would end up bringing, even though my husband had written to the guy a few days before. So it wasn't a big deal to have had that bread, but I probably could have lived without it. Anyway, they finally brought the food maybe around 8:15, and it was a lot. They brought a huge portion for each of us of quinoa and tons of vegetables that was in some sort of a sauce. And I ate the whole thing. Also had a salad to start, but I was really full when I ate it. And I wasn't even paying attention. I loved the taste of it, but I wasn't calmly eating it because I was more busy, like being pissed off that it took so long. But by the same token, I was happy that there was good food and it was filling and satisfying. But what that did leave me was full when I got into bed and feeling not so great this morning, even though there was nothing particularly highly caloric about it, or fatty, oily, salty, none of that. But I was really feeling kind of stuffed this morning from eating so late and all that. Anyway, I want to transition now to talk about Trisha Brook. This is a woman who has been helping me over the last several weeks to be writing my TED Talk. I highly recommend, if anybody is watching this who is looking to either do a TED Talk or a keynote speech or any kind of big talk, Trisha Brook is your go-to gal to get some guidance and feedback on how to make your speech even better. She's amazing. Her last name is pronounced Brook, but is B-R-O-U-K, so feel free to go check her out. Anyway, this morning I was reading something that she had written up about her, and one of the things she said, which really resonated with me, is keep your story going. Always keep your story going. So when I thought about it this morning, I was thinking, like, how can I take this story of being a little frustrated, like I mentioned yesterday, about always feeling like I have to prepare for the food thing or make sure that I will be okay and not hungry. And I was feeling a little burdened, I mentioned yesterday. And so when I woke up with that story this morning of feeling full and still feeling like I have to put so much effort into managing this thing, I thought of what Trisha said, like, keep your story moving. And so what that got me to think about was, what is my story? My story is I'm a little off kilter over these last couple of days between the vegan potluck the other night and just being a little bit off. So I asked myself the question, like, what do I want to feel that I'm not feeling? How can I expand my story or keep it moving along so that I don't get stagnant and stuck in the story as it is? And so when I ask myself, what is it that I would like to be feeling that I'm not? I want to feel a little bit more want power and a little less willpower, which is something I talk about all the time. I mean, willpower is just fighting with yourself, struggle, mental tug of war, and I'm so not about that. But I am about want power. How do you want to feel? What do you want to eat? What everything is about want, which really is just calming and makes you feel good. So I think I've kind of veered off a little bit. My story is kind of stuck in the I should make sure to eat this or should make sure to look out for not being starving. There's too much emphasis on those kinds of thoughts right now. And so to keep my story moving, I'm going to glide right back into want power and think about how I want to feel when something is over, just from a calmer place, because I'm just noticing this friction and tension within myself over the last maybe 3 or 4 days as it relates to my eating. So I look forward to just slowing down, calming down, and making it less of a burden, which is what it's been feeling the last few days. So I want to thank Trisha for, you know, coming up with those words so that it will help take me to the next part of my story. And I will see you tomorrow.